know, John, I'm going to bring you back in here. I don't know how big of a win this is. I know that the former president isn't allowed to talk about Michael Cohen or the judge. Let's talk about both of them. The judge, after 15 days, just told prosecutors they can tell Michael Cohen to be quiet, all while the president is under the threat of jail time for potentially violating a gag order. What do you know about this judge? Because the former president is saying this is all a big joke. What do you know about this man?
I don't know much about his personal background, but just watching his performance during this trial, he's way in over his head. This gag order is a great example. He is violating President Trump's First Amendment rights. Yes, you can restrict what criminal defendants say, but there's never been a criminal defendant who's also the leading candidate for the presidency. That is the core of this free speech clause, is to allow us to debate and talk about who we're going to elect. And then the judge compounds this terrible mistake by, rather than lifting the gag order and letting Donald Trump speak, he says, I'll let Michael Cohen speak, attack him, but oh wait, maybe I'll just ban Michael Cohen's free speech rights too, right before the trial. So now he's violating two people's First Amendment rights. Yeah. That's a terrible showing of how this judge does not understand constitutional rights.
And what's interesting, too, is the timing in all of this. I mean, now telling Michael Cohen now to zip it after he's had the last couple of months to talk about this, it is very reminiscent of the judge saying the other day, well, you know, the jury probably shouldn't have heard a lot of what Stormy Daniels had to say. He's like, he looks at this in hindsight and goes, yeah, well, maybe that shouldn't have happened. As a judge, aren't you supposed to kind of have foresight to say, wait a minute, this is how this could affect this case and prejudice the jury against the client, against the defendant. And the defendant has a lot of rights as well. We have to make sure that we preserve those. So I'm going to issue these orders ahead of time, as opposed to not even playing cleanup afterwards, but just acknowledging that it's a mistake.
You know, John, you're right. I hadn't even thought about that, but that is just like the MO from what he did with Stormy Daniels. Yeah. He should never have let Stormy Daniels testify. He allowed her to testify, blamed Trump's lawyers for not objecting every 5 seconds after he had already overruled all their objections. Yes, and then at the end saying, well, maybe I should have done something about it. Because he knows now that he is skirting on the line towards a mistrial. He's got to realize that after letting in Stormy Daniels, after putting this gag order in, he's creating a lot of opportunities for the appeals court to reverse him. Now he's trying to play it cautious because he doesn't want to be overruled. He doesn't want a mistrial. But he's really mismanaged this trial, and I could easily see an appeals court, unfortunately, long after the election, saying this has to all be thrown out because a judge really screwed up the trial.
Well, speaking of Stormy Daniels, if we can pull up her Twitter post, her X post, as we await the former president to leave the courthouse, she really takes a hit at the president. She says, real men respond to testimony by being sworn in and taking the stand in court. Oh, wait. Never mind. So the former president, John, actually said down in Mar-a-Lago about 3 weeks ago that he wants to testify. In fact, it was a very stunning moment. I was standing right there a few feet away from him when he said it, and my jaw nearly dropped. Do you think that he should? You think it's a good idea? You think his lawyers will let him?
Aisha, I have the same reaction you do. My jaw's dropping now. There is no way Donald Trump should testify. But what you could also see of this week's events, the way Stormy Daniels testified, the kind of questions the prosecutor asked her, and now just this last tweet of hers, they're trying to goad President Trump into testifying. He has a constitutional right not to. He has a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. He doesn't have to testify, but I think they're trying to force him, because then he'd be under oath. They try to get him to commit perjury and then send him to jail for that. So I thought what we just saw now, actually, I'm glad to see the former president's aware of that. You notice he did not violate the gag order. Instead, I think the right thing to do is turn the platform around and attack Biden. Attack the bad job he's doing. Use this as a campaign platform to make his case to be reelected. Don't get sucked into fighting with Stormy Daniels under oath in this kind of sordid trial.
Yeah, and as we saw as he came out of the courtroom,
he's trying.
The president is using it as a campaign forum because, I mean, where do you get so much free time? All three cable networks are covering it. Everybody else is covering it as well. Hey, John, great to spend time with you. And I must say that if I thought of something that you didn't, it is absolute proof of the old adage that even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
Happens all the time, John. I know it and you know it.